Today I'm reviewing this Li-Ning Yun Ting 01 badminton shoe. This shoe is for me a very exciting one. So it's in the all-around category, and if you remember, there is the all-around category, there is the lightweight performance-based category, and there's the supportive and injury preventive category. And so this one is the all-around, and it's leaning towards the supportive category with a bit more stiffness and a bit more cushioning that you would find your typical all-around badminton shoe. And so for someone who is a recreational player like me, with the main concern being not getting injured so that I can play longer, maybe with the second preference being playing well, this is a great fit, and it's been a really exciting shoe for me to test. And this one is used by Jonathan Christie, who won the All England a few months ago. This model is all white, and when I got it, of course, my first concern was, how is the color gonna last after a while? To spoil the beans right away, this is what it looks like after probably 40 hours on court. This came after, just a few hours, but we'll get to the durability a little bit later in this review. If we start from the back here, we'll start with the heel. And when I mention the heel, it's usually the upper heel. Some shoes, they have a bit of a low heel, which makes you feel like the foot is gonna pop up and out of the shoe while you're playing. This one has a stiffer heel. You can see this bit makes you feel like your feet are more locked in while you're playing. It's a much better feeling. It has a good blend between being stiff and being cushioned. As you can see here, there's a big sausage cushion here that goes all the way around here, which is nice for your ankle. Maybe you are late to the shuttle and you're moving sideways and you have to change direction last minute. It has a nice combination between being comfortable and cushioned here, but also being stiff enough that it's not too easy to roll your ankle. So I quite like the upper heel. It has a great balance between comfort and stiffness. If we move on to the rest of the upper, we have the tongue here, and we have the shoelaces, and we have the sides here. On some shoes, you will find that this bit is, if you tie your shoelaces fairly tight, it'll sort of bite into the skin near your ankle, and it's kind of painful. This has not been an issue for me with this shoe, but you can see here how thick the tongue is, which is nice if you like to tie your shoelaces really tight. The overall fit all around with the stiffness here and then the comfort here is quite snug. And on the sides here you have these ventilation holes, and the sides are quite thin to help with breathability if you're playing in an environment that's very hot. So I'm playing in 35 degrees Celsius or like maybe 90 degrees Fahrenheit. I found this shoe to be somewhat hot, especially during the end of longer sessions of a couple of hours or more. It wasn't a big issue, and I would still pick this shoe despite that. I have had shoes that felt hotter than this one. For me, it's not the end of the world, but it is worth noticing. So let's continue moving forward here. We have the toe box next, and you can see we have some more of these ventilation holes. Now when it comes to the toe box, most of us are thinking about the front bit here when you do a hard stop. Like if you're lunging and you're late to retrieve the shuttle, you want some padding out here. And the padding is not the most that I've had in a badminton shoe. There's some supportive shoes like the Victor P9200 that have more padding here, or the Yonex Eclipse C3 that are more padded here, but they're also like hardcore supportive shoes. So this one has a little bit less padding, but it's slightly more than your average all-around shoe. So for me, considering this is an all-around shoe, this is pretty good. No complaints there. But where it really shines for me is in the toe box, but underneath here. Because I've had this issue where I felt fatigued underneath the big toe after my games, and I tried everything, 2 pairs of socks, sports tape. This is the only model that feels like it has some extra padding underneath, which is really useful to fix this issue. Finally, the top bit here feels a little bit stiff, whereas the rest feel more cushioned, and it's a nice combination, and it's in line with like how the rest of the shoe is it has a stiff sort of outer, but then inside there's nice cushioning. Now next we have the outsole here. You can see it's a one piece here because it's connected at the front and the back here with the profile lock and this bit here. And so that's nice because it allows your shoe to be less flexible to the sides, which is useful when you're landing from, let's say, a jump smash or from another late move, and you're not landing as perfectly clean as you may want to. So more flexible shoes, they will maybe land like this if that's how you're actually landing. Whereas shoes with a one-piece outsole, they will be more, I guess, stiff is the right word, and not have the ability to move as much, which is nice because it helps you prevent injuries. So there's also the outer grip here. My preferred grip is the Younex's current grip, and this one is nearly as good. It's not quite as gluey, but it's good enough that I would still prefer this shoe, even if the grip is 5% worse. It's still terrific. So if we move on to the midsole, which is this bit here, it helps with the comfort and the cushioning and with the shock absorption when you're landing from a jump smash, for example. It's not amazing, it's not the best that I've had, but it's certainly good enough. It's just, there's not that much to say about it because it's just somewhere perfectly in the middle for what you would expect from an all-around shoe. Finally, we have the insole here. First off, you can see there's no ventilation holes like you see in some shoes, which is a downside for sure. Otherwise, there's not much to say. This is a pretty standard insole, not particularly soft, but soft enough, fairly slide resistant, really like very standard and nothing special. That brings me to the final item, durability. Now, durability is tricky to measure when you're only testing the shoe for 10 hours on court, but actually I like this shoe so much that I've continued to play with it for 40-50 hours. I use something that I have called the lunge tear here because it's a tear that we tend to get on the non-racket foot when we're lunging. And so you can see here, this looks horrible, I know, and it's mostly because the shoes are white. This tear came after, let's say, 5 hours of play or something. It came pretty quickly, but then it hasn't really torn any deeper than that. And it's pretty much in line with what I noticed on most of the other shoes that I've tested. To give you a reference point, here's that Comfort C from Yonex again. You can see how the tear is quite similar here, right? And this is pretty standard. No concerns about that for me. Now there's another tear underneath. And this looks reasonable for the amount of hours that I've played. This is much smaller than I have in some other shoes, but compared to this Yonex one where it is virtually like there's nothing. Overall, this is a very exciting shoe. So the issue that I've had with it is it began giving me blisters on the second toe, and I've even tested it against bulkier and heavier shoes where it doesn't happen. So I'm not quite sure what's going on. Otherwise, this is a wonderful shoe. The main downside is that it can get a bit hot, but for me this is possibly my current preferred shoe. This is one of Li-Ning's flagship shoes. And one of the fun things about those are that they're generally top-notch all around, and it's more about finding the right combination of things that you like rather than avoiding like a totally terrible shoe. This review also comes with a text review on the blog, and in that review you'll find ratings for each area of the shoe, how I rate it, and you'll find a head-to-head comparison against other similar shoes. So if you're interested in that, I'm gonna leave a link to the description and you can find it there. This is Aske from Beast Badminton. I'll see you in the next one.